Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome. Good evening. It's Sunday evening. It's 8 o'clock. It can only mean one thing. You're welcome to the Red and Blue Review. This evening, we're going to be talking about everything to do with this Friday night's Wolves game. Sad state of affairs that was. We'll talk about that in great detail. Joining me are a couple of special guests in a minute. We're going to be talking about lots of things tonight. We've got lots and lots and lots of questions from the audience. Okay, and we're hoping that you can come and join us, talk to us, tell us what you think, chew the cud with us. We're going to be talking about lots of things. But before we get into that, we want you to be part of this show wherever you are watching in the world. Please, 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 would you like and share this video right now? Hit the share button on your Facebook page right now. Then go into Watch Party and get as many people on your wall watching us to give us a greater, wider audience. Don't forget, you can watch this and on Twitter. You can find us on YouTube at any time to either watch, listen, or download it to any of our podcasts, or simply go to your digital device, your Alexa, and say, play the latest Red and Blue Review podcast, and off it will go. Failing that, you can also go to our redandbluereview.co.uk website where you can watch this one back, or you can watch all of our previous catalogue back. So come and join us on the show tonight. Come and say hello. Let us know that you are there. So I'm hoping I'm going to have... I can see Steve Brimble's there. Hi, Steve. I hope you're doing well, mate. Ian, just to let you know, I can't see either of the guys. I know they're there, but can you bring them up on screen for us? Graham Kitcher, good evening, mate. I hope your health is well. I'll be delighted to see you on there. 2 seconds while I'm just get us on here. I'm going to be joined this evening eventually by Ian Noble, who I know is sitting there because I've just seen him on my Facebook page, and also coming from up north. It'd be great to welcome back Nigel Croucher. Guys, I know you're sitting there waiting for me patiently, but I can't see you at this time. So I'm going to kick off while I'm waiting for Ian. I've got Ian Lyons producing for me in the background. So we're going to be talking about, obviously, the Wolves game. Crystal Palace arrived at Molineux looking to take 13 points from their first 7 games of a Premier League season for the first time ever, with the added incentive of climbing into the top 4. Despite returning to winning ways against Fulham last weekend, Hodgson's side were second best for much of the first half and were lucky not to find themselves more than 2-0 down at the break, which I think is fair to say. Ian, can you give us a message? Let me know how we're getting on in the background, mate, please. So it was a night when things did not fall the Eagles' way. We know that, as Michy Batshuayi had a goal ruled out for offside after 17 minutes, and Zaha was shown no sympathy after going down under a challenge by Ait Nouri, the 19-year-old debutant, after the restart. After a constellation for Hodgson on a disappointing evening, it was notable second-half response from his players, despite the all-important absence of a breakthrough. Zaha, having contributed 5 goals and 1 assist to Palace's 8 league goals to date, cut an increasingly frustrated figure in attack. Most evident as he received a yellow card for a shove again on the aforementioned Asori. Milivojevic's dismissal was awarded retrospectively by VAR for a studs-up challenge, which we're going to talk about in great detail. Well, once I can talk to the guys, I can't just, as I say, I can't see them. Go on, Ian, do what you got to do, mate.
Can you see us yet, Nick?
No, I know I'm here, boys.
You hear me?
But I'm not on screen, or I can't see you on screen. So this is going to make it very difficult. Just bear with.
Right, guys. Nick, can you hear me?
I can hear you,
Right.
Ian.
Nick,
Yeah,
everyone can see all 3 of you. You're the only one that can't see anyone. So, yeah, drop out, drop back in. Bear with us for 10 seconds while he does that, everyone. And then I will get Nick back on. Unfortunately, new producer, it's probably down to me. But let's have a look. Let's have a look. He's coming back in. Do I let him back in? This is the thing.
Come back, Lucy. All is forgiven.
Right. Right. Let's see if we can get Nick back on screen. Nick,
Hello.
can you see everyone?
Yeah.
Right.
Good.
Right. That's enough of me then. You three get on with it because
Yeah.
you're far better at this than I am.
No
Right.
problems.
Enjoy it.
Thanks a lot, guys. Okay, so on the red card, Hodgson said after the game, I'm very disappointed with that one. It's the worst part of the evening in a way. There would have been positives to take, but to lose a player for 3 games for a challenge that he didn't consider a foul is very hard to take. If it's up to me, I certainly would appeal it. So, of course, we're going to get into that in great detail. Welcome to the show, Nigel Croucher. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Sort of getting on with life as we've got to this day.
Yeah, we got to, and I hope it's not as wet and windy up there as it is down south.
Um,
Cool, mate.
it's been good today. It's been good today.
I'm glad it is up there. Ian Noble, thank you for coming back on again, mate. How are you?
I'm good, Nick. I'm well, thank you.
I've got to tell you, it's now by public demand that you come back on again. So if you remember a few weeks ago, you were joining us on the team as part of the team as a rare guest. You're here more than I'm here recently because the feedback we're getting from behind the scenes, Ian, is that you are great at what you do. Your knowledge, your in-depth knowledge is great to hear. The fact that you can't keep your hands off my frigging coat, that's a side issue that everybody knows about. But welcome back again, mate.
I feel a bit like Tyrek Mitchell. I've got the shirt at left back and, get selected every week.
It's yours to lose now, mate. It's yours to lose now, buddy. In fact, we're going to cover that. In fact, should we do that first of all? Let's start with the lineup, if you don't mind, because I did my Philpott's player prediction earlier in the week, as you know, and we already had an inkling that Tyrek would be out because he's taken a knock-in training. By the way, good evening to everybody out there in Red and Blue Review land. I can't see you on my iPad at the moment, but once the guys start talking, I'll come and find you in a minute, just so I can say hello to everybody. So the lineup is as follows, or was as follows. Guaita in goal, Nathaniel Klein, Scott Dan, Kawate, Van Aanholt, Townsend, Riedeval, Milivojevic, Schlupp, Batshuayi, and Zaha. Well, I'm going to start off with the 2 fullbacks, boys, okay? I was actually saying on the show last week how good our strength in depth was. I think, if I'm brutally honest with you, both the fullbacks were responsible for the goals at different points during the first half. Did you think, Ian, I'm going to kick off with you if you don't mind. Do you think we missed Tyrek?
Definitely, yeah, totally. I think from a defensive point of view, I think he's better than Patrick Van Aanholt. I really do. He's not done much wrong at all defensively since he's come in. His record on one-to-one tackles has been exemplary, and we definitely missed him. And if you look at their goals, both the Wolves' goals came down that side, crosses into the box. And I think if Tyrek Mitchell's been playing left back, I'm not sure they're delivered in the same way as they were on Friday evening.
Well, I actually agree with that, but we'll come on to the goals in greater detail a little bit later on. Nige, your thoughts on the 2 fullbacks?
We just want Waldy and Mitchell back as soon as possible.
Yeah, I don't know whether the Wardy injury is going to be a long-term injury. It's
they just seem to be keeping that under the hats at the minute. There's not a lot of news coming out there.
I mean,
Tyrek was just another.
Sorry, Nigel.
I say, young Mitchell. This was another training ground incident the day before a match. So it just beggars belief what they do in training.
And the centre-half pairing of Kawate and Dan, which I actually got wrong on the Philpott's play predictions in. I'd actually gone with bringing Cahill back to sit in with Kawate. I know we could argue that Kawate's clearance for the second goal wasn't ideal and it actually landed. Oh, no, it was for the first goal, wasn't it? And would you have brought Cahill back?
Well, no, he can't have been fit, can he, Cahill? I don't think.
He wasn't even on the bench.
Fit. Otherwise, I think he would have come back in. But just staying with the fullbacks for a moment, I just saw a comment from Fergus Tid on there, my old mate Ferg.
Hi, Ferg. How you doing, buddy?
And he said he makes the point, which is really valid, that Nathaniel Klein and Van Aanholt are great cover fullback at the moment. We've got options there. but they're not match fit. Neither of them were. Now, I'm not knocking them. Kleiny, I think he played really well for 70 minutes at Fulham. He had less of a game at Wolves, obviously. And Patrick Van Aanholt, it's his first game back, his first start this season. You can't blame him for a slight lack of fitness. He was good going forward again, but defensively is where we were found out. And I don't know if we can talk about this now, but the shape of the team wasn't quite right. And Danny Murphy, for me, on Match of the Day, really, really captured it because he said we were playing too narrow down the middle. And what that did, it left Wolves space on the flanks for their wing-backs to get forward and deliver the balls in, which they did, and they did it effectively. And when you're playing a good team like Wolves, if you're not on your game, then they'll find you out. And that's what they did on Friday night.
So you're agreeing with what I haven't even spoken about yet is
Sorry, mate.
The system. No, sorry, it's absolutely fine. That's what this is all about. Before we do the two systems, okay, because that's what it was. It was our 4-4-2 against their what did they play? 4-3-3 was it or whatever it was? Okay, and they outthought Hodgson on that, and we are going to talk about that in a second. But before we do, I just want to go into the chat and say hello to a few people that are out there. Tom Samuel, hope you're doing well, mate. Andy Stacey, great to see you. East Croydon the other day, mate. Summers out there. Mukta, Tim Richards in New Zealand. Boys, all of you out there in Red and Blue Review Land, I can see you. I am now up and running, so put your comments into the chat and I can see them. There's also somebody out there that keeps coming up on my screen as just Facebook user, so I can't see who your name is, but good evening to you, whoever you are. Yeah, so the two systems. Nigel, what did you think Wolves played?
I think it was more of a 4-3-3, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so as well. I had it written down as a 4-3-3. And it seems and Ian's just rightly made the point that we seem to be very narrow, giving them the space on the wings. Okay. And again, we're going to talk about the goals in detail in a minute, but just using the second goal as an example, it came from our bloody throw-in. PVA was halfway up the pitch. Okay.
So we lost it on the halfway line.
Exactly that. Okay. So the two systems, you've got to put it down to, and I'm not one for openly criticising Roy Hodgson, but he was outthought on that system. Either of you?
Yeah, I think Wolves played three, didn't they, across the back, and then the wing backs as well. That's the way they set up against us. But it was the space on the flanks, and Danny Murphy said, and I agree with him, that it was uncharacteristic for a Roy Hodgson team to set up like that. To allow them so much space on the flanks. And the second goal particularly, you touched on it there with the throw-in, it's our own throw-in. We lose the ball from a throw-in, and literally 30 seconds later, the ball's in the back of the net. It should never happen. That should never happen. And if you're in any doubt, I used to play fullback, nothing like this level, obviously. But I always used to just chuck it as far as I could down the line. And I don't think we do that enough. What's wrong with doing that in the Premier League? Someone tell me, I don't know. But, it's always to feet, and if someone gets a foot in and we lose it, and, they're on it straight away. And that boy, I can't remember who crossed it, but Podence put it in, didn't he, into the box?
Yeah.
And we're two down all of a sudden. And it's a long way back against a Wolves team when you're fighting like that.
So on my notes, boys, I put down the first half. I mean, they were on the front foot very early on, okay? And we just seemed to be, I can't say that there was a player, and this is the frustrating bit. There wasn't a player in a Palace shirt that, to me, stood up and was really on his A game. And I'm talking about all of them, including Wilf. So I put on there on my notes. First half, there was an early shot from just outside the box for one of the players. His right foot, okay, and it was curling in, and Guaita made a very good save very early on. Then the only thing of positivity in the first half for us was Batman's offside goal, which came from a good, in fairness, that was a great move from us all over the pitch, and I think it was started off by Scott Dan. I put in there, it was a good team effort involving Dan Zaha, PVA, and a good ball in, and a smart finish only to be ruled out for Batshuayi in the build-up. But it was Batshuayi who was offside, was it, Ian?
It was, yes, mate. And, at the time, I was going mental in the pub. I was just jumping in the air, and beer nearly went flying, And then there was a few Brighton in there, and because I live in Sussex, so they were giving it large, when the goal was ruled out. But the thing about that goal, he could have seen that. You know, the ball comes in from the left, and he's got to look across that line and make sure he times his run much better. You can forgive him the one against Brighton because that was a toenail offside, you know, and it wasn't the same kind of run. But that one on Friday night, he needs to time his run much better. That's now 3 offside goals in 3 games for Michy Batshuayi. And it's great that he's getting those positions, but he needs to check that. You know, surely these players work on that in training, don't they? They've got to be able to work on that and get that right. Because it was a great finish. It really was.
It was. And it really was. And I've got to say to you, I think you've been in my house this afternoon and you've nabbed my notes and you're reading from my notes because your point is absolutely bang on the money because he's right, isn't he, Nigel? A striker of his quality, I know he's still young and everything else, but he should have been looking along that line because I actually had it highlighted on my notes as, what is he doing? He's actually the last player in that line as the ball came across. And he's, and I've just seen the message Ian, the other Ian's put out. So Ian's not only got my coat, he's got my notes as well. But Nigel, he should have been looking along the line. A top striker would have done that, wouldn't he?
Well, he should be looking along the line. But I wonder what I say it's back to what they do in training. But they work the moves. But have they got anybody watching for the offsides? Because they say 3 on the spin now for him. It's it's not good.
And I've just realised, my machine's not working. There it is. And now I can see you all out there. There it is. Good to see you all out there. Lee Clark, I can see you just popped up and said, good evening. Hello, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for all of you, wherever you are, all over the planet. It's great to have you alongside. Okay, so then, of course, the Batshuayi goal, or no goal as it turns out. Moments later, Wolves take the lead. Podence ball in from the left and headed clear by Kouate. Not the best of clearances, it has to be said. Only to land at the feet of the debutant boy. And now I'm going to struggle with his name all evening, but I'm going to go with Ait Nouri, who drills the ball past Kouaita. Okay, first goal, boys. And I'm really pinning the evening on the discussion here on the fullbacks. PVA caught on the back foot with Podence getting in behind him, yeah? Either one?
Yeah, I think you're right. But interestingly, you touched on Checky Coate's header out there. I mean, he does get to the ball first, but is there a degree of naivety there from the player in as much as he's not a natural centre-back? He's done well there this season, of course he has, which is why he's still getting selected. But, if that's Gary Cahill there on that header, does he head it out for a corner? On the basis that if he heads it out, someone could get on it like they did and score. Whereas Checky Coate just doesn't think about that and heads it out, and the guy's on it.
Heads it backwards like this, isn't he? Yeah.
Whereas, if he gets it the other way, he's got it for a corner, and then they can regroup and defend. And I'm just wondering, there's a degree of naivety there about Checky Coate as centre-back and whether he's culpable at all. I mean, it's harsh, I know, but, it's something that crossed my mind for sure during the game.
Yeah, and sorry, Nigel. I just want to say hello to a couple of people. Paul Glance, I can see you're Hola from Espanol. Hope things are all right for you down there. I am reading all your notes, and Andrew Adams, I've just seen your note about Nick's just learned how to turn his iPad on. Okay, I'm coming to get you afterwards, pal. So let's hear lip. I can see the hoods out there. Lee Lockwood, I hope you're doing well. I don't want to. I'm certainly not trying to pin that on Kouate, Nigel. I think, maybe it was a touch of naivety, perhaps.
He's done well playing in a position that he plays that position for his country, and as I say, he's been thrown in and he's done a good job. I think that's the first time he's really let the team down this season playing that place.
No, I agree with that.
As soon as the others are fit, I just feel sorry for him because I've got a feeling he probably won't even get back into the midfield.
Well, the only opportunity now, of course, don't forget, Luka's going to be suspended for 3 games. So if a couple of the centres, somebody else actually said in the chat, they go, why couldn't Kelly have played? And, fair point, absolutely fair point. But he won't be match fit either. So all our returning centre-halves won't be match fit. But, assuming he does pick one of them because he's now got to replace Milivojevic in the middle of the park, which we're going to come on to later on, it might be Kouate's saving, I would think. I don't know. We don't know how what goes through the manager's mind, if anything, really. Anything else in there? No, I'm just having a look. I'm just reading through the notes. George is agreeing with my thoughts on the 4-3-3 being outthought about our 4-4-2. Now, don't forget, talking about that system, just touching on that again, we've always been on the show, we've been talking about the system for years and years and years. Wouldn't it be nice if we started playing a 4-4-2 again? Well, hang on a minute. We can't criticise him because that's exactly what he's doing. And he's done it more and more this season. Also, a couple of people have asked in the chat about Jel and Jel's health. Thank you very much for your nice comments, okay? And thank you for asking. Jel is absolutely still part of us, okay, part of the team. He is going through some problems behind the scenes, okay. It's to do with his foot. That's the only clue I'm going to give you, okay. It's to do with his foot, and he is in he's had real problems with it. I think he's been at the hospital once again today. So, Jel, if you're listening to this or watching this, we all love you. We're sending you our love, and lots of people are asking about you in the chat. He will be back with us soon. He nearly joined us tonight. He very nearly joined us on the team tonight, on the panel tonight, but his issues got the better of him, so he couldn't make it. Right, where should we go on to? Yeah, so my question to you, actually, boys, was he caught on the back foot for the first goal? I think the clear understanding on that. And before the second goal, there was another chance by Dendoncker from outside the box, cracking shot, rattled against the woodwork. I think at that point, I went and did something more interesting and watched a game where it was very, very one-sided. And how are you thinking at this point, boys? You thought we were in for a drubbing? I think I put it in one of the chats that we're on for an annihilation here. That annihilation didn't come, but it was still all one-way traffic, was it not, Nigel?
It was one-way traffic, and I was looking at about a five deficit.
Yeah.
It's just not Palace that night.
Indeed. So, I mean, you were sitting in the pub with all the lads, Ian. What were your thoughts at that point?
I think the words were when Dendoncker at the bar was we got off with one there. Sometimes that happens, doesn't it, in football? But Guita was nowhere near it. If that's an inch or two lower, that's in. I mean, it was a great strike. But, why has Dendoncker got so much time to strike that ball? So I think we're missing something there. There's a player that wasn't on the park that has been ever present for a lot of this last few seasons, really. He's hardly missed at all, and he's been brilliant. He's got a great engine in him. And we missed Jimmy Mack in there, didn't we? We really missed him. And I think, we'll come on to talk about team selection and all the rest of it later on. But, Luka suspended, Jimmy Mack's got to come straight back in. I think Jimmy Mack sort of snuffs that kind of thing out, and you don't even notice it when he's playing half the time. So, good strike from Dendoncker, unlucky. The writing was on the wall then, for sure. And, we just weren't good enough, were we, defensively? Both stopping the crosses and when the crosses came into the box, Kleiny was nowhere near it, really, for that second goal.
Glance has just said in the chat, he said they took their foot off the bus. I think he means off the gas. We could have got hammered. And do you know what, Paul? That was my worry. That was absolutely my worry. The second goal came from a PVA throw in before 30 minutes. So bear in mind, we're only talking about up to half an hour here. Okay. He doesn't track back after he's played the ball and his spot, as we've already discussed, was empty. So Pedance, I think it was, he got pulled in from, and Pedance had switched sides at this point. He was on the first few minutes, he was on the left-hand side, on their left-hand side. He put the ball in from their right-hand side. He put it across and they drilled it past the keeper. PVA is guilty again, was he not, lads?
Yeah, from start to finish of the whole move.
Now, on that, Ian, I was going to say to you on that move, yes, I think, I'm answering my own question here, but I think PVA is guilty, but I think a word also needs to go out for Kleiny, because Kleiny could have got a block in earlier in that move, and your point about his match fitness is quite valid.
I think both of them, Nathaniel Klein and Patrick Van Arnold, I think they would work better as wing backs in a five, pushing forward. They're both much better going forward than they are defensively. Now, I know this system didn't work with Frank de Boer, and we've never played it since. But with the amount of centre backs we got, and young Tyrick Mitchell, on the left there. He's played centre back in the earlier in his career. You could play three centre halves and Kleiny and PVA, wide, i.e. the Wolves system. If you as an alternative. But that's not even been mentioned by anyone else. But, that is something that, Roy Hodgson could have a look at. Why not? Just because it hasn't worked with Frank de Boer all those years ago, why not look at that? With the personnel we've got, that might be the better solution. But as pure fullbacks, Wardy and Mitchell are better defensively, as we've already said, than Klein and PVA. And unfortunately, that's what we've found out.
And going forward, the other two are better than them going forward. So
I think so. I think they are. Mm.
Okay, so Paul Wyatt in the chat says, we are the most boring team to watch. And a lot of people are saying that we are so negative going forward. Hodgson sort it out, or I won't read out what he says afterwards. Foxtrot Oski. Fergus Tig is that Fergus is agreeing with you, Ian. He said, great shout.
He always does.
Jimmy
He always
Mac
agrees with me.
Yeah. I won't say anything about that. Okay, Jimmy Mack does all the ugly stuff, deserves more credit than he gets, and that's absolutely true. But obviously he wasn't playing. And Lee Locke was saying because we can't keep the ball. So just before the break, penalty appeal. PVA trips over in the box, guys. It was overruled by VAR. I mean, what made me laugh? I watched the highlights on Match of the Day back, and the commentator said that the referee Atkinson, who I didn't think had a particularly bad game, if I'm honest. Atkinson had a clear view of it. Well, no, he didn't. Dendoncker was between him and PVA. I don't know if you saw it from the angle over Atkinson's shoulder. He's looking forward. He's got Dendoncker between him and the ball. Okay, there's no way he could have had a clear view, but he gave the penalty anyway, which was subsequently overruled by VAR for offside against PVA from the ball into the box from Zaha. Again, quite a good move, lads. Okay, but was it the right decision to overruled it for offside?
Well, the letter of the law, yes.
It was offside, wasn't he?
Yeah.
PVA was off.
Yes. The way they're ruling this season, a toenail is offside. So,
but it was more than a toenail, wasn't it? There was some daylight there, really. If you look at the line,
and there was
daylight there. And yet, I think without VAR, I'm not sure the lino sees that because it's so far back in the play, I might be wrong, but I just felt that without VAR we might have got away with it. But again, it was a penalty. If it wasn't offside, it would have been given. That's for sure. So we're a bit unlucky, really. And did you see PVA afterwards? He mouthed, didn't he, to the camera? Was it me? He didn't realise he was offside.
And we're being critical of Batshuayi, who wasn't reading the line, okay, and should be reading the line for his offside goal. Can we really blame PVA for something like that? He's in all intents and purposes, is a fullback.
He's a fullback coming forward, isn't he?
Exactly.
So I think he gets carried away when he comes forward. He gets a rush of blood to the head.
Well, Paul Holden in the chat just said, are we papering over the cracks? Paul, you make an interesting point, and I understand what you're saying, because I actually titled this show today, okay, the name of this show was Consistently Inconsistent, okay, because that's what we are as an outfit. We haven't gone on a whole run of anything, okay. I think we've now played 7, won 3, lost 3, drawn 1, and we are inconsistent. It's how we get over this little stage where we'll win one, lose one, win one, lose one, just to get a couple of back-to-back results. Any ideas?
I think last week we were flattered playing Fulham. They are the worst team I've seen in the league so far.
Yeah,
and I think that flattered Palace, and it was just bringing us back down to earth, playing a team with the quality the Wolves have got. And with a bit of luck, it might open Roy's eyes again and focus the rest of the team as well.
But we were comfortable, Nigel, against Fulham. Comfortable for most of the game. 8 minutes, we're 1-0 up. Second goal does it. All right, they scored in the 95th minute. But, we were comfortable against Fulham. We didn't even have to get out of third gear a lot of the time. So, and I'm not sure I agree with you totally there. I think next week will be an interesting test. Leeds at home. We'll talk about that later, I'm sure. But it's a long old season. It's a long old season.
Yeah.
And one thing we have found out in this Premier League this year is the results can go any way for any team, can't they? You know, look at Aston Villa. They do Liverpool 7-2. They lose at home to Southampton. They lose to Leeds. You know, it's a real topsy-turvy division. It's bonkers.
And talking about topsy-turvy, the Scum have just scored against Tottenham. So So they are now 1-1. Thank you for John. Thank you to John, JC in the chat for keeping, and Laurie for keeping me up to date. Yeah, Lamptey scored it. So on to the second half. We had an early chance, a shot from Townsend, a la the Man City shot, but it wasn't as successful from just outside the box as we looked to get one back early on. Further chances from Traore and Pedance as Wolves looked to kill the game off, and then the red card for Luka. First of all, short bowling from Maka to Luka, who dives in on, what's his name? Matinho, is it? Matinho?
No idea who it was.
No.
Can't remember.
He'd only just come on as a sub, hadn't he?
Yeah, and he takes the ball. Luka does get the ball, and he clearly does get the ball, and the ball goes off to the right. But he's got the ball studs up, and in my notes I use the word collects the player as well. How did you see it, guys? VAR ultimately sent him off, but how did you see it?
Nigel, after you, mate.
It was one of those, if it had been against Wilf, we'd all be screaming. I'll say we weren't there, but looking on the telly, it was a very wet and greasy pitch. So I think he lost a bit of it on the surface, but there was definite sort of studs up contact with the lad's ankles. It should have been red. Why good old Mr. Atkinson didn't even give a yellow?
I know.
And was told to go and sort of check for the red. I think he should have at least given a yellow even before the being told to look at the pitch side monitor.
Some are saying in the chat, Ian, that Luka was poor all game. Your thoughts?
Yeah, at the time I was livid. I couldn't believe it because watching it on TV, we watch it back while the VAR are thinking about it. Yes, he slides in. But he gets the ball, all right? He definitely gets the ball first, and he connects with the player's foot afterwards. And it really has split opinion, this, because there's people in the chat saying clear red card, and other people are saying, yellow at most. And for me, I don't think it was a red card. I really don't. Mason Greenwood had a very similar tackle for Man United this afternoon against Arsenal. Yellow. Okay.
Yeah, so Lee's just said exactly that in the chat.
Very consistent. And what amazes me is that I can see how Atkinson could have given it in real time. Real time, it looked dangerous. He watches it back. Stockley Park can't make their mind up. He hasn't got a clue as whoever was on VAR duty. So he asks Atkinson to view the monitor. He's watching it back, and he comes back and gives a red. How can he do that when he plays the ball first? Now, the rules have changed a lot, I know that. So in the 80s and 90s, you get away with that. Nowadays, they're saying, because he's lost control of himself, it's dangerous foul play, therefore it's red. So I can understand why it's given. I disagree with it. I don't think it should have been a red card. And I'm wondering whether the time of the game had a part to play in this. 87 minutes in. If it's in the third minute, does he send him off for that challenge? I don't think he does.
Yeah, great shout. Great point as well.
Have you noticed every time this season they've gone across to the pitch side monitor?
I think,
they've changed the decision.
They've changed the mind. I mean, Hodgson said in his post-match or one of his post-match conferences, he said once he goes over to the monitor, you know what's going to happen next, and he said he wasn't disappointed. He didn't. The referee didn't disappoint. So he was. I mean, Hodgson was absolutely livid. Couple of questions in the chat, then, boys. Linda Drew said, "Hi, Linda. Hope you're well, darling. Clear red card. Luka was off the pace." Joan Wells, evening, Joan. Will Palace appeal? Now, again, Joan here, Roy Hodgson alluded to that after in one of the post-match press conferences. He was absolutely seething. He was absolutely seething, and he said, "I don't know. I haven't spoken to anybody at the club yet, but if it was down to me, I would appeal." So I can't answer that. Lee Clark saying it was a yellow, and Jonathan Cook saying it was shocking. So
I think we will appeal, Nick. I think there will be an appeal, but I think it'll be overturned. I don't think it'll go through. I think it'll be a 3-game ban.
So it's a 3-game ban. So because we appealed, does that how does that affect
Does it still
the
have one
punishment?
on?
Does it still have one on? Is my question. Both you boys, I'm asking you, but I'm also asking you in Facebook land. If we appealed, what used to happen? If we appealed and in other words, we're arguing with the decision, and it was overturned. The appeal was overturned. Or sorry, the appeal was upheld. Does They used to add a game on to the suspension. I don't know that that's still the case. Anybody can enlighten us out there? Normally, I'd rely on Nigel Croucher for that sort of information, but and he'd be tapping away on his laptop, but he's sitting with us now. So Jonathan Cook saying it's an extra game, so perhaps they still do it.
Yeah.
So
I think Everton claimed last week and got away with it. I know it's a different tackle. It was more of a stand on the back of the guy's heel.
yeah,
But
He's only got one game, has he, the Everton fullback?
yeah, it got taken down to one game.
it's interesting.
See, I think that was a worse challenge than the one Luka did. I really do. It was down his back of his leg, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
Right, I've got 2 little things I want to cover off here because one of them has just joined us on the screen. Teresa Baker, I know you're out there doing a wonderful job in our NHS. You are a hero, my darling. Okay, for you and every one of your colleagues, it's getting worse and worse and worse. Wear your frigging face masks, please. Okay, but Teresa, for everything you and your colleagues are doing in the NHS, we love you. Thank you so much. So I've got a bit of a loaded question for you, boys. Okay, and I want your answers out in the chat. Okay, so he's got a 3-match ban. Question: we play better without him anyway, don't we?
Yes.
Ian Noble.
yeah, I said at the time the only silver lining is that Luka misses the next 3 games. It was tongue in cheek, of course, because I never celebrate a Crystal Palace player getting sent off, even in the last few minutes of a game that's lost anyway. But I wouldn't select Luka Milivojevic from the start. I really wouldn't. Okay, so Jimmy Mack, James McCarthy rather, are both out injured. I think both of them getting the team ahead of Luka Milivojevic. Riederveld's started now. All right, didn't play as well at Wolves as he did at Fulham, but I think you can't really drop Jaro Riederveld. So I don't think we will miss Luka that much. I saw a post on Facebook today comparing him with his form with Milej Jedinak when he was captain. He lost something, didn't he? He lost form and,
Yeah, he did.
he was out of sorts and all the rest of it. It's almost like the captain's curse at Crystal Palace. So I don't think he gets back in when he's available again, when everyone else is fit. And, I'm not too upset that he's not available for selection next weekend.
Any thoughts, Nige?
Exactly. He's not first choice anymore.
But even though he's captain,
Even though he's captain, I think we might actually go to one of these. We have a club captain and the team captain shortly. And I say when Cahill came back the other week, the armband was straight back to him. So it was taken off Wilf, who had temporary sort of custodian.
yeah, but
The band.
Milivojevic wasn't available at that point, though, was he?
Well, that's it. But Luka, for me, he's been off it since 2018. He went to the World Cup, he came back, and he was never the player for Palace after he'd been to the 2018 World Cup. That's how long he's been poor in my eyes.
Yeah, in my opinion, is he and you're right to highlight the World Cup there, Nige. But playing a little bit of Billy Big Bollocks, he thinks he's better than he actually is, and I think his performances of late have actually highlighted that. It might be a good thing for the next few weeks. I'd be interested to see, because as I say, I think we play better without him in the team. Okay, we certainly lose the ball less in midfield without him in the team, and it'll be interesting to see is Phil Pot talking his normal load of crap, as everybody likes to tell me that I do, or over the next 3 games, and we have a slightly different shape in the middle of the park, do we play a better game? Right, so that was full time, 2-0 to Wolves. Okay, very disappointing result. Somebody actually said in the chat, I can't remember how many it is. We never win. We never win on a Friday night anyway. And I think somebody say it was the 12th time or something we've lost on a Friday night. We never win on a Friday night, and we haven't changed that at all. So there you go. So what's up next for us? So Crystal Palace host Leeds United. Now, Theresa Baker will be very keen on this because she has a flatmate of hers who I've met. I think it was Steve, his name was, and he is an avid Crystal Palace fan, Leeds United fan. So it'll be very interesting weekend in your household, Theresa, that's for sure. So it's a 3:00 kickoff at Selhurst Park, and Wolves travel to Leicester on Sunday at 2:00. I just want to touch, if you don't mind, I've got some questions for you in a minute, boys. I want to touch about the Leeds game. Okay, give me your odds on Bamford scoring the winner next weekend.
Odds on.
Yeah,
It's not as short as that. I think he might. I think if you say will he score, he probably will. Whether it's the winner or not, it's another thing. But he is a different player, isn't he? There's no doubt about it. Because he is the worst striker I've ever seen in a red and blue shirt, without any shadow of doubt. I was getting the same last week. He was absolutely awful for Palace, and I used to slag him off no end.
Yeah.
But he's a different player, and fair play to him. And he's not your typical footballer, is he? He's well spoken. He's more like a rugby man or a hockey man, isn't he?
He's like a college boy. He's like a college.
I know,
boy.
isn't he? Isn't he? Absolutely. But no.
When we first signed him, we played a friendly. I think it was Bromley.
Yeah, he scored a hat-trick, didn't he?
He scored a hat trick in about 15 minutes, something like that. And everybody thought, cool, we've got a real deal here. Nah. Soon went.
That was his level, though, wasn't it, Bromley?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think Grant said that last week. I've got some. I've had the real panel on to me again. Do you want to hear what he's got to say?
Before you do, I want to say, Paul, you need to get your ass on the show. Okay, the real panel on Twitter, ladies and gentlemen. If you do not follow the real panel on, how's he spelling panel?
It's PANL.
PANL on Twitter. If you are not following the real panel on Twitter, you are missing out on a guy that has a talent for statistics. Ian Noble, over to you.
Okay, so according to the real panel, Palace have never lost at home to Leeds in November, having won 1 and drawn 3 of Leeds' previous 4 visits to Selhurst Park during that month. Okay, and if Palace score on Saturday, it will be only the second time in a Premier League season that we've scored in each of our first 4 home games. The only other time was the very first Premier League season in 92-93. There you go. 2 fantastic stats from the real panel.
And Geezer, you're a real talent. Okay, so Paul Grant says Bamford had a carrot up his jacksie when he played for us. Jonathan Cook says worse than Chesney Hawkes bloke. Okay, I heard Mark Bushell says, hello Mark. I heard a rumour Leeds are leaving their keeper at home. Yeah, ain't that right? Paul White said he can't be a good player. He's just better coaching at Leeds. And funny, Theresa Baker had already said she would love to see what Bielsa could do with our current squad. And I think very good point. Very good point. George Wagru, hi George. Thank you for your comments in the questions crew today, mate. We are facing a different Leeds this time, guys. Yeah, well, say what you mean, George. Give us an example of what you're talking about. Why are we facing a different Leeds? Just because we've got a few points on the board? We never know. Let us know in the chat what you're thinking, mate. Right, questions. Now, normally, ladies and gentlemen, this stage of the evening, I'll turn to questions from the questions crew. Now, but because one of the founder members is sitting on the panel tonight under Nigel Croucher, he doesn't know that I'm doing this. One of his colleagues on the questions crew have set some questions for him and you as well, Ian. Okay, so this is from Andrew Adams to both of you to start with. Are our current squad of players, our starting 11, fit enough for 90 minutes?
Yes. Why not? No different to any other Premier League team.
I think his point was because we're only putting in a performance every other week. Consistently inconsistent again. And that's what he was. That's what he was aiming at.
I see. Okay. No, I mean, I don't think we've got fitness issues over and above other teams. I think a lot of other sides might be talking about that. I mean, Manchester City were moaning about the fact they didn't have a pre-season, and Manchester United were as well. It is what it is with the Premier League this year. They work hard, they train hard, they're professional athletes. Yes, they had a bit of downtime during lockdown. They came back. They played this behind closed doors for them till July. A couple of weeks off. I don't think we're not any different to any other Premier League team. I don't buy that at all. I really don't.
Okay, Nigel, I'm going to ask you a slightly separate one. Actually, no, finish up on that one, Nigel, because I've got something else to ask you. Go for it.
Right. Well, my opinion is we're not in Europe, so we're only playing once a week.
Yeah.
They are professional athletes, and that they should be match fit for 90 minutes once every 7 days.
Yeah.
End of.
And I've got nothing to add to that because I think you're right. There's a lot of disquiet because I'm going to do it again. Consistently inconsistent. So we win one, and the world is all pink and glitzy out there, and the Palace fan base are happy. Okay, Ian, I want you to do the food bank in a minute if you don't mind. The world is pink and happy. Okay, then we lose one like we did on Friday night. Okay, and the whole world is talking about Roy Hodgson and how rubbish he is and how poor he is as a manager. Blah blah blah. Max Francis has just said he's not got into Roy's mind that Eze needs to play Eze. Even if he does play, Roy will play him as a winger. Lots of unhappy people out in the Twitter world about Roy Hodgson and parking the bus and all. Any thoughts, Ian Noble?
Go to Nigel first on this one. Go on.
Okay, before I do, good news. Tottenham scored again. Gareth Bale on the 73rd minute. Nigel, sorry, mate.
Right. As for Eze, I think Roy got him in as a replacement for Wilf. Wilf, they were being prudent. They bought in before they sold. So they got the replacement, and Wilf didn't go. So he's now stuck with the problem. He can't. He was going to play him, replace Wilf. Can't do. So sort of until Wilf does go, I think he's stuck on the bench.
And Nigel, your thoughts on the negativity towards Roy after another defeat?
It's just the keyboard warriors sort of bouncing to life after, well, it's not even after the match, is it? You see it sort of coming in as the match goes on. He's done the club well. Sort of give the man the credit he's due.
Ian, I'm going to tell you what Georgia Wagwell's just said. He is rubbish. So much depth, but he uses the same players. He is a one-trick pony. Is that fair?
What, Eze? You talking about Eze now?
No, you didn't talk about Roy.
Roy's a one. No, well, Roy Hodgson's been a manager at the top level for 45 years, guys. Yeah, he hasn't got a plan B often. It can be a bit boring to watch, but we are difficult to beat. And yeah, I'm not a Roy hater. I was Roy out towards the end of last season a bit on Twitter, but I think we're stuck with Roy this season. I wouldn't change the manager mid-season unless it gets really bad, end of the year, January sort of thing. But, the guy's not getting any younger, is he? He's 73 years of age. And I think if Roy Hodgson's 53, it's a different kettle of fish to Roy Hodgson being 73. I think the age does play a part. If you're a young player and you're going to sign for Crystal Palace, you're thinking, I'm signing for this guy, but he's not going to be around for much longer. I don't know. I do think we need to change the manager, but I think it will come next summer at the earliest.
Colin Squire saying, what creative player has he ever played at Palace? I'll give you two, Colin. Zaha every week and Townsend every week. Frustratingly, yes. Townsend every week. Okay, there's two right from the start. Jonathan Cook saying, no plan B, barely a plan A. Laurie Scott, hello Laurie, another part of the questions crew. As he was told when he transferred in, they would have a free licence. He can easily play in midfield in the same team with Wilf Zaha. Are we getting to the Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard thing again? With can't play in the same team.
No, I don't know really. I mean, I think Eze can play in the same team as Wilf, although Nigel's probably right. He was probably brought in with a view to Wilf potentially leaving. But isn't it great though? We've got a player as good as Eze to come off the bench if we, as and when we need him.
Good point.
I don't think Jeffrey Schlupp played particularly well at Wolves at the weekend. I would like to see Eze get a start, maybe instead of Schlupp on Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock.
And somebody else is suggesting in the chat, and I've seen him a couple of times for the under-23. This young guy that we got, Scott Banks, he looks definitely a good prospect. He looks a good prospect.
You see the goal he scored? See the goal he scored against Wolves?
Yeah.
Marvellous goal. Absolutely marvellous goal.
And Colin Squires has come back at me, and rightly, and please do, because that's the whole point of the show. That's what we want: interaction. We want interaction. Thank you. He said no player in the middle is what he was. He talked about a flair player a minute ago, and he said no player in the middle as a flair player, and that I can see that you are right. Right, is just finishing up on the Leeds game. Is the Leeds game pay-per-view, Ian?
Yes.
Yeah, it is, but it's been scheduled for 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon.
So pay-per-view, please don't pay your $14.95, and Ian Noble will tell you why.
Yeah, because what's happened since pay-per-view has come in is that fans all around the country have resisted, and these are people that go to the games. This isn't your plastics that sit behind the TV most weekends anyway when we're allowed in the grounds. And there's been some fantastic momentum of giving to food banks. Don't give your $14.95 to the TV companies in the Premier League, but give it to a charity in these austere and challenging times. And the Trussell Trust is the leading charity in the UK that manage food banks across the country. I had the privilege of meeting Kieran Maguire on Friday afternoon. Kieran was on your show, Nick, wasn't he? Not so long ago.
He was a couple of times, yeah.
And Kieran Maguire, he's a Brighton fan, but he's not a bad egg. He's written a book called The Price of Football, and he's donated all his royalties from this book. He sold 4,500 copies. He's donated his royalties from the book to the Trussell Trust. Now, he lives around the corner to me, so I invited him along to Upfield Food Bank on Friday to show him around. I happen to be a trustee of the food bank. I have been since 2013, and I'm also a volunteer, so I deliver the food to people that need it locally here in Sussex. And the number of people that are using the food bank has increased exponentially, as you can imagine, since lockdown, since March, April time. So in little old Upfield, which is where I live in East Sussex, this year we have fed 1,214 people, while in the same period last year it was 542. That's a 136% increase. In the year from April 2019 to March 2020, we gave out 11.5 tonne of food to people that needed it. Now, if you extrapolate these figures across the country, these are massive numbers. And food banks like the Norwood Food Bank, inner city Newcastle, inner city Liverpool, these food banks are much busier than somewhere like Upfield. They've got literally hundreds of people every week that they're servicing and feeding, people that cannot afford to put food on the table because they've been furloughed, they're on benefits, they've lost their job, whatever it is, all kinds of reasons, health issues, mental health issues is a big thing as well. So it's fantastic that football clubs and the fan bases are getting behind this and donating money to the Trussell Trust. Donate to your local food bank if you can, wherever you live, if it's a Trussell Trust food bank or Trussell Trust Direct. And it's very well received and much appreciated.
Yeah, it's the Norwood Food Bank is the one that all the Palace fans are supporting. And well done to you, Ian. Okay, but also well done to each and every one of the other Palace fan banks, namely the HF. And, guys, the HF and myself have had run-ins over the years that I think they've instigated something that is absolutely massive here. Okay, if you want the details, it's on the screen now. www.trusselltrust.org. Okay, and please do what Ian has just said. Please support this, mate.
Well, one other thing, Nick, I meant to say is that it's not just people that have been on benefits for years now. Since April, 50% of people that have used a food bank since April have used a food bank for the first time. So let that sink in, That's an amazing stat. That just blew me away when I heard that.
It's superb. And I think the work that you're doing, the work that Teresa's doing out there, all the key workers out there. I think you're all doing a fantastic job. Listen, I've still got a couple more questions for you guys. Okay, so what I would like to do is just touch on the mental health. Look, we're going back into lockdown on Thursday. Everybody knows that. We have been proud to support any issues that Palace fans or anybody has with mental health issues. Okay, if you are struggling in any way, shape, or form, if you are on your own in the lockdown period, if you've got anything you are struggling, you know somebody that's struggling, okay, and you want somebody to talk to, you can get hold of each and every one of our team on Red and Blue Review. We will pick up the phone and talk to any of you for as long as you like. I work shift work, so I've got plenty of time. When other people can't do it because they're working full time. So it doesn't matter, and I will be working through the lockdown because that's what I do. I'm on the buses, so the buses will still be running. If any of you are struggling, or you know somebody is struggling, ask them the question: are you okay? And once you've asked them that question, say, look, I just want to check again: are you okay? It doesn't matter. It's not a taboo subject anymore. If you've got loneliness, mental health issues, even financial issues, just talk to somebody. Use me. Use Ian Lyons. Use Jel Holyoke. We've all got problems in our lives, but we will always answer the phone to you and talk you through if there's something you're going to. Or failing that, just to the Samaritans. The Samaritans, www.samaritans.org. They're out there as well. Do not suffer in silence. Do not suffer alone. Everybody at Red and Blue Review will support you and help you if you need it. Okay, please, guys. Please, this is an important time in your lives. Okay, and we want to be there to support you. Right, let's get back to football. Question. Okay, these questions are coming at you from Andrew Adams. Andrew, thank you, mate. Because what I love about these questions is these two haven't seen them, so they don't know what's coming their way. Okay, best central midfield pairing, please. Ian Noble, go to you first.
Jara Riedeveld and James McArthur.
Okay.
There you go.
Nice.
I don't think you can exclude Jimmy Mack. I really don't. I like James McCarthy very much as well. But if I had to pick a team tomorrow and everybody's fit, those are the two that would get in my team.
I think it's a great question, by the way, Andrew. Nigel, over to you, mate.
Yeah, I'll definitely sort of Jaro the way he's sort of played this season. He's come through the Dutch league, and he's just got quality oozing through him. And I just can't understand why it's taken 3 years for him to get into the starting. And good old Jimmy Mack, he's just got that workhorse built into him. And sort of to me, that is the centre you want.
Right, I'm gonna play the ante for you boys. Okay, I'm coming back at you both. Okay, so this is wide open, ladies and gentlemen out in Facebook land. Best central midfield pairing, please. Best central midfield pairing. Your thoughts? Okay, now I'm going to throw something back at you both. He had a shit game yesterday on Friday, lads.
Who did? Jaro?
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't play that well, did he? I don't know why.
Did any of them play well, though?
We need to see more of him, really, I think. Is that because Jimmy Mack wasn't alongside him? What do you reckon? Could have been, couldn't it?
And that could well be the case.
Quite a few people in the chat are talking about Max Meyer. He didn't even make the squad, did he? Friday night, Max Meyer.
No, Max wasn't even on the bench,
and he wasn't injured. So strange one, really. I think with Maxi, I think we've got to let him go in the window if we're not going to play him. I like him, and I was at Southampton away when he scored that goal when Wilf was a toenail offside, which was a brilliant goal, and it was ruled out. And I think it's days like that with a player. He gets the goal, he gets confidence, he plays better. I know it was last season, but you've got to get some confidence for a player like that. I think he's a confidence player, isn't he, Max Meyer?
And interestingly, he's one of the, whatever it was, 13 players that we picked up on that's out of contract in June next year, June 21. And it's interesting and quite laughable that some of the other Palace groups have all of a sudden, and even some of the press. I noticed in the press this week there was an article.
The Sun did a big article today.
And some did an article only today, and I'm telling you now, they're picking up on what I've got written down here, and I have had for weeks and weeks and weeks. All the circled ones are players that are all out of contract in June, and there's
It's funny, that's the problem, isn't it? I think Jonathan Scott has said, Jonathan, where's he gone? Jonathan Cook, rather. Max is on 110,000 a week. I didn't know it was as much as that. Crikey, that's huge.
Yeah. And his current market value is only £7 million. So he's costing us more than we would get for him if we sold him.
Bonkers.
So, okay, right. So, very good discussion there, boys. Here we go again. Andrew Adams, thank you. Best fullback pairing. Now, we are spoilt. We have a...
Did we do this one earlier?
Well, sort of in the match talk, but so if every player was 100% fit, and we've got, help me out here, we've got Kouate, Kelly, Dan, Tompkins, Sacco, who have I missed?
Cahill,
there's 7, okay. Which 2 do you play? Assuming you're playing 4-4-2. Or would you
go on, you go first.
Cahill and Tompkins.
Cahill and Tompkins.
So it's centre-backs, yeah?
Yeah. And funnily enough, Lee Lockwood, the Hood, okay, has just absolutely nailed what you just said there. Nigel, he said the first thing he said was Cahill and Tompkins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that when they're both fit. Trouble is, Tompkins is never fit, is he? He's made of glass a little bit. So I think Checky Kuite's got the shirt and he's done well this season, and therefore that's why he keeps getting picked. So for me, at the moment, it's Checky Kuite and Gary Cahill.
And do you know what? Again, I don't know if you're reading the chat. Linda Drews exactly nailed it, what you just said as well. And Linda, I would actually agree with you as well. My central pairing at the moment, because as Ian just quite rightly alluded to, Kouate's got the shirt. Okay, Kouate and Cahill. I think it's spot on, my love. It's absolutely spot on. Right, where should we go next? Leeds game next. Okay, this is from Andrew. And if we couldn't cope with Wolves' energy, how are we going to cope with Leeds? And what tactics need to be deployed, gentlemen?
Leeds United are typical. They're like the Sheffield United of this season from last season, aren't they? Last year it was Sheffield United, got promoted, couldn't do a thing wrong, and now it's Leeds this year. They've not been brilliant in every game. They've come unstuck. I mean, Wolves beat them at Ellen Road. I'll be very interested to look tomorrow night, see how they got on against Leicester. So they've got some decent players for sure. They don't get promoted and cement their place in the top flight with such a good manager without being any good. Of course they don't, and they'll be absolutely fine this season. They'll finish in the mid-table somewhere. But I don't think we've got anything to be scared of. I think we'll certainly get something out of the game. I said this on Twitter earlier today. I think we'll get a result of some kind next Saturday. And we'll be up for it. Hopefully there's a reaction to the Wolves defeat. We want to see that, don't we? And I don't see why that can't happen.
Anything to add on that, Nige?
No, I'll say I agree completely with that. Sort of, they're sort of like running well, but not brilliantly well. Sort of top teams have played. Haven't played Man United. They've played Liverpool, so they haven't really sort of been over tested. I just think show them respect, but not too much.
Thank you. Out there in Facebook land, I would like to know your predictions against the Leeds game on next week. What do you think? Bearing in mind, we have, like I said earlier, we've gone 7 games in. We've won 3, we've lost 3, we've drawn 1. What do you think? Give us your score predictions in the chat right now, people. Okay, I'm coming back to some of your messages in a minute. Can I ask you boys for your score predictions for next week?
2-1 Palace.
Graham Kitchen's come back with 2-2. Yeah,
I'll go 1-1.
And a draw.
Win.
Ferguson's saying 2-1. Jonathan's saying we are doomed. I love your optimism, mate. Andrew Barnsdale say pack the midfield 4-5-1. Wilf on the wing, Ezzy behind Mitchie. Okay, which is quite interesting because somebody else in the chat a minute ago has just asked the same question. It was Paul Holden. I hope you and the family are well, Paul. He was saying, okay, if we were asking questions for the panel, let's do this one. What about the pairing up front? What would be your favourite pairing? And even if you say Benteke, okay, I'm going to kick you off the show, right? So go.
Well, I think what he's playing at the moment is probably the best bet, isn't it? I mean, we haven't got much choice, have we, really, up top? It's not like other positions on the pitch.
It'll be Batshuayi and Zaha. I came on the other day and didn't really look at to what has been earlier this season. I think you'll probably, sort of definitely stick with what he had Friday night.
Okay.
Because I think it will come for Michy Batshuayi. He will score goals. He's got to work on this offside thing, as we talked about earlier. But I think he will score goals, and he's had a fantastic season so far. Right, so didn't work for him at Wolves on Friday, but aside from that, he's done very, very well this season, and he needs some credit for that.
What was wrong with
player, isn't he?
What was wrong with Will from Friday night? Martin Atkinson.
I think
it just brings the worst out in Will every time he plays him.
Yeah, true.
But do you not
go back to that match at Huddersfield a couple of years ago?
I remember it, Nigel, and I'm glad you brought it up because it's I am going to come back onto everybody's predictions in a second. But Nigel, don't you think that Will should be old enough and ugly enough now to control that? But B, more importantly, that should have been coached out of him now. Roy Hodgson should have kicked his arse and said, "Oi, enough!" Or you sit on the bench. Stop sulking. Stop it.
Though, is it?
No, it's not going to happen. But that's, I think, to me, that encapsulates Will Zaha in a nutshell. It frustrates me because
petulance
at 28 years old, petulance.
Yeah, he does need to put a lid on it. It's ridiculous.
You understand petulance at 21, 22. I get that. Okay, everybody goes through that. But he went through it, but he didn't. He never stopped it. Right. Let's cover off some of these predictions in here. Graham Linda said 1-1. Fergus said 2-1. Palace. Luke Cooper said
Fergus always says 2-1. Every game he says 2-1.
Jonathan Cook said 0-2. So I presume you meant Leeds are going to win that. Who's that? Jonathan Cook says his attitude stinks. He's talking about Will, of course. Laurie Scott. Now, hold this thought, everybody. Laurie Scott in the chat is saying 3-1 to Palace. Teresa Baker said 2-1 Palace. John Knox saying 2-1 Palace. And Paul, real panel, has come back and said if Fulham can score 3 past them and their defence can be attacked. Well, that's a good point, actually. I hadn't thought about that. They can concede leads. So
yeah, they can.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna wrap this up. Unless anybody's got anything pressing to say before we say goodnight. One thing remiss of me that I must say publicly, I'd like to congratulate Ian Lyons, who is currently producing the show tonight. He's currently producing the first live show he's ever done. And you've done a magnificent job, mate, and I'm really proud of you. Thank you for your efforts. Well done, buddy. So last things from you, Nigel. Any thoughts about Palace? Anything you would change as things stand at the moment? Or are you quite happy to be on this roller coaster where we win one, lose one, win one, lose one?
I've been on this roller coaster now for 50 odd years. So you get used to it. But no, changes are needed, but it's more than just the team. It's the whole club, top to bottom. So tonight's not the place to discuss that.
Do you know what? There's a show there on its own, really, if you think about it, because we do need to change an awful lot, starting with this lot here that I keep circling, and I will keep having. Summer, I see what you've said on there. Good show, thank you, mate. You're talking. Well done, Ian. Says Graham Kitcher. Leader Hood saying well done, Ian. Well done, Mr. Lyons. Everybody. Now, I'm Ian Noble. Last thoughts from you? Anything?
Yeah, my thoughts are this. We've never had it so good, guys. This is the 8th season in the Premier League. Look at some of the other bigger clubs in this country that are plying their trade in the 2nd tier of English football, even the 3rd tier. Look at someone like Sunderland.
Yeah.
Well, look, be careful what you wish for as well. As an ex-chairman once penned his autobiography. We're okay. We're not going to win the league. We're not going down either. I'm not saying mid-table mediocrity is acceptable every single season, but we'll be okay. And I just wish more Palace fans had the glass half full than half empty. There you go. So, I think we'll be fine. And I look forward to every single game. And every single game, I'm optimistic. And sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm disappointed. That's part and parcel of supporting Crystal Palace.
Thank you very much. And guys, I'm going to finish off with a couple of quickies. Okay, Lee Hood just said in the chat, who's going to do Movember and match my mother-in-law, is what he just said in there. I'm going to give you some more good news. That final score, Tottenham beat the Scum. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are concerned about the Palace, okay, you're worried about the Palace, don't forget, you can always be a Man United fan and you can always be a Brighton fan. And look where they are right now, okay? Brighton have just lost again. So it doesn't matter what Palace do. As long as we are there and they are down there, that's all it says. Please stay safe. Look after each other in lockdown. Please wear your face mask. Nigel and Ian, thank you for joining me. Ian in the background, thank you once again. On behalf of myself, Nick Philpott, please stay safe. I'll see you next week for our post-Leeds game. Good night, everybody, and thank you for joining.
Cheers, guys. All the best.
Sarah?